Students, in this video, we are going to talk about the balance sheet of ATP during aerobic respiration. That means how many ATPs are produced during aerobic respiration of the substrate, right? We have already seen the three steps of aerobic respiration. If you remember, what was the first one? First one was glycolysis, second one was Krebs cycle, and third one was electron transport system. Okay, so let us see how many ATPs are generated during glycolysis, during the link reaction, as well as during the Krebs cycle. Okay, so first let us start with glycolysis. First, stages in respiration. Second, ATP produced by substrate level phosphorylation. Substrate level phosphorylation. Third, reduced coenzymes generated during the stages and going through electron transport system. Okay, so let us have a balance of all of them. Fine, so let us talk about the first stage, and the first stage is glycolysis. In glycolysis, how many ATPs are produced during substrate level phosphorylation? It was 2 molecules of ATP. Do you remember the stages where substrate level phosphorylation was occurring? It was occurring during the formation of 3-PGA, that is 3-phosphoglycerate from 1,3-dipGA. So 1,3-dipGA to 3-PGA, there was formation of 1 ATP. Second ATP molecule was produced during the formation of pyruvate from PEPA, that is phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate, gives 1 more ATP. Like this, you have 2 ATP molecules. Okay. Now, during glycolysis, how many reduced coenzymes were produced? 2 NADH were produced, right? So, 2 NADH were produced. When these NADH go through electron transport, when one NADH goes through electron transport, it gives you how many ATPs? 3 ATPs. When 2 NADH goes through electron transport, it will give you how many ATPs? 6 ATPs, right? So total calculation will be 2 into 3. That will be 6 molecules of ATP by electron transport system. Alright. Now, so this was glycolysis. Second, we will see about the link reaction. Link reaction. During link reaction, no direct ATPs are produced during substrate level phosphorylation. Okay, but NADH, how many NADH are produced? 2 NADH are produced during the link reaction. If you remember, what was there in link reaction? In link reaction, pyruvate was getting decarboxylated and oxidation was occurring to form acetyl coenzyme A. Okay, that acetyl coenzyme A was entering into the Krebs cycle. So 2 NADH were produced. That means how many ATPs will be formed? 2 into 3 again. There will be formation of 6 molecules of ATP. Alright. And now, let us talk about the next reaction, that is the Krebs cycle. Very, very important. Pay attention very carefully. In Krebs cycle, you remember in Krebs cycle, ATP was generated in plants and GTP was generated in animals. Okay. Now, how many ATPs are produced from one acetyl coenzyme A? One acetyl coenzyme A goes through the cycle. Now first we will calculate for one acetyl coenzyme A and then you will multiply it by 2. So here I am writing for one acetyl coenzyme A, so that there will be no confusion. For one acetyl coenzyme A, there was formation of one ATP. by substrate level. You remember the step? What was it? Succinyl coenzyme A to succinate. One ATP or GTP was formed, right? Now, how many reduced coenzymes are produced? You remember at 3 steps, there were 3 NADH being produced, and at 1 step, there was 1 FADH being produced. So here I am writing 3 NADH getting generated at 3 sites, and I am writing over here 1 FADH which was generated at 1 site, right? So 3 NADH and 1 FADH. Here we will multiply this by 3. So 3 into 3 is 9. 9 ATPs. 1 FADH goes through electron transport. It gives how many ATPs? 2. So 1 into 2 is 2. So 2 ATPs. Right? 9 plus 2 is 11. 11 plus 1 is 12. Okay. So that means 12 ATPs. Now here I am writing down 12 ATPs for 1 acetyl coenzyme A. Okay, so you are going to double this now. If you double this, 12 into 2 will be 24. 24 ATPs totally will get from only through the Krebs cycle. Alright, okay. So now you are going to just add this up. 24 ATPs, okay. Then you are going to get from the link reaction, you are going to get how many ATPs? 6 ATPs, right? So 24 plus 6 gives you 30. 30 plus 6 gives you 36, and these 2 ATPs 38. Okay, so total gain or net gain of ATPs through aerobic respiration will be 38. Let me calculate it again and tell you. From Krebs cycle 24, you got how I calculated 24. It was 12 from 1 acetyl coenzyme A. You are going to multiply it by 2 because 2 acetyl coenzyme A will be formed from 2 pyruvates, right? So likewise you are going to get 24 ATPs. These 24 ATPs you are going to add up with a link reaction which is going to give you 6 ATPs. 24 plus 6 is 30. Add up to glycolysis 36 plus 24 plus 6 is 30, 30 plus 6 is 36, and 36 plus 2 is 38. So net gain of ATP from aerobic respiration is how much? It is 38 molecules of ATP. Alright, so this is a basic understanding of the balance sheet of ATP. Now, we will actually see how much the cell gains, which cell gains how many ATPs, right? Muscle cells or nerve cells, how many ATPs do they form? Let us see that now. I hope this part is clear to all of you. Yes. Now, in case of muscle cells or nerve cells, the net gain of ATP is 36 ATPs, 36 ATPs formed per molecule of glucose oxidized. Okay, now why you get 36 ATPs and why not 38? It is because the 2 NADH are consumed during the 2 ATPs are consumed during the transport of NADH from cytoplasm to mitochondria. Okay, so energy is spent during the transport of this NADH2 from cytoplasm into mitochondria. That means these 2 NADH2 are utilized. That is why 2 ATPs become less in case of aerobic respiration of muscle cells or nerve cells. Alright. Now, in case of aerobic respiration of prokaryotes, in aerobic respiration of prokaryotes or in case of heart or liver, the net gain of ATP is the same, that is 38 molecules of ATP. Here, because of the transport system, the since two ATPs are utilized over here, the net gain of ATP becomes 36 and not 38, right? So these things you have to remember whenever you are going to calculate the net gain of ATP. Fine. And now let us see how much energy does ATP molecules contain. So one molecule of ATP stores about 7.6 kilocalories of energy. One molecule of ATP stores about 7.6 kilocalories of energy. Alright. And now let us go to the next part of respiration. We have finished with the balance sheet. Let us go to the next part of respiration, that is different stages of anaerobic respiration and what is the meaning of anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. Now, what is anaerobic respiration? It is a respiration in which there is incomplete oxidation of the substrate, incomplete oxidation of the substrate, okay, less energy is produced, of course, in anaerobic respiration. The terminal electron acceptor is not oxygen. Terminal electron acceptor is not oxygen, but like aerobic respiration, it is controlled enzymatically. So it is an enzymatically controlled type of respiration. Anaerobic respiration, there is incomplete oxidation of the substrate. Since there is incomplete oxidation of substrate, you will never get completely inorganic products being formed. Okay, so some energy is stored in the products as such. Less energy is generated because there is no complete oxidation. Terminal electron acceptor molecule is not oxygen and it is an enzymatically controlled process. Okay. Now let us see who is going to carry out aerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration, where does it occur? It occurs in the waterlogged roots, or we can say the waterlogged plants. It takes place in muscles of higher animals. Like we perform anaerobic respiration whenever our muscles perform anaerobic respiration during the exercise. Okay. Then anaerobic respiration is also performed by some kind of parasitic worms. Sometimes fungi like yeast can also perform anaerobic respiration when oxygen is not available. So yeast is an aerobic organism as well as anaerobic. If oxygen is available, it can perform aerobic respiration. If not, it can perform anaerobic respiration. Alright, fine. Now, what do you mean by the word fermentation? We can use anaerobic respiration word for fermentation also, but fermentation means, let me tell you now what is fermentation. rather when the word fermentation is used. In case of products of microorganisms, like when microorganisms act on the particular substrate and they form compounds like ethyl alcohol, or when they form compounds like lactic acid, then we use the term called as fermentation. But what is fermentation? Again, it is technically, it is same like anaerobic respiration. It is incomplete breakdown, or we can say incomplete oxidation of the organic substrates, which is controlled enzymatically. Controlled enzymatically. Okay. Then what is the difference between anaerobic respiration and fermentation? Is there any difference? There is some difference which we will be discussing a bit later. First, let us complete the fermentation, that is ethyl alcohol fermentation and lactic acid fermentation, and then we will again see the difference between anaerobic respiration and fermentation. So to start with, we'll see what is ethyl alcohol fermentation. So we'll see fermentation of ethyl alcohol. Okay, pay attention, questions are asked on this. Now, we saw that glycolysis was a common step for aerobic as well as anaerobic respiration. Alright, so after glycolysis, what do you get? You get pyruvate. In case of ethyl alcohol fermentation, we'll see the first step, that is pyruvate. Pyruvate gets converted in the first step into acetaldehyde, and a molecule of CO2 is released. Let me tell you the reaction now. Pyruvate is CH3CO COOH. Okay. From this you remove one molecule of CO2, and what will you get? Acetaldehyde CH3CHO CH3CHO plus carbon dioxide getting released. This is acetaldehyde, right? Now, the name of the enzyme is very, very important over here. The name of the enzyme is pyruvate decarboxylase. Pyruvate decarboxylase. What is the meaning of decarboxylase? It is going to remove CO2 from pyruvate. Therefore, the name of the enzyme is pyruvate decarboxylase. So, this is the first step. Alright. And if you remember, it is a part of the PD complex that we have discussed, that is pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Now, second, this acetaldehyde is going to get reduced. So, the second step is reduction of acetaldehyde. Now, reduction means what? Again, addition of hydrogen. So, who is going to supply hydrogen over here? It is NADH. So, in reduction of acetaldehyde, you are going to write CH3CHO. This is your acetaldehyde. It is getting reduced by NADH, that is NADH2 we can say. From where this NADH2 was formed? It was formed during glycolysis, right? So that NADH2 is used for reduction, and this will result in the reduction of acetaldehyde to ethanol, which is written as CH3 CH2OH. Okay, see the reaction. CH3 CH2 and OH is left. Plus, so what is this? This is ethanol or ethyl alcohol, plus this NAD will be oxidized to form NAD plus. Alright. So these are the two steps. Yes, and very important is the name of the enzyme. Here, the name of the enzyme is alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay, so whenever we are going to talk about these two fermentations, remember the names of the enzymes are very important, which are taking part in the steps of formation of ethyl alcohol. All right, so first step, pyruvate to acetaldehyde. Second, that is decarboxylation. Second step, reduction of acetaldehyde to form ethanol, and the hydrogen donor was NADH. हा NADH कुठून आला? NADH we got from glycolysis, right? Now we will see the second fermentation, that is lactic acid fermentation. Yes, but before that, ethyl alcohol is produced by whom? So fermentation of ethyl alcohol is carried out by yeast. All right, and very important, this ethyl alcohol after being formed, or it is not stored in the microorganism, it is excreted out. So हे ethyl alcohol जे तयार होतं, that is excreted out of the cell, excreted out of the cell, and the concentration of about 13% concentration is legal. 13% concentration of alcohol is lethal to the cell. Lethal means the cell gets killed by its own ethyl alcohol if the concentration becomes 13%. And this question is asked in your exam. Very important. So mark it as a star. The concentration of alcohol when it exceeds 13%, it is lethal for the cell. Okay, so this is one important question about ethyl alcohol fermentation. Now, let us see the next fermentation, that is lactic acid fermentation. So, next topic is lactic acid fermentation. Now, same way like we saw, ethyl alcohol was produced from pyruvate. So here also, from pyruvate, lactic acid is produced directly by reduction. So only one step is there. Pyruvate. What is the formula of pyruvate? CH3CO COOH. It is directly converted into lactic acid. Okay. Now, the name of the enzyme, here also it is getting reduced by NADH plus NADH2. From where the NADH2 comes? It comes from glycolysis. Okay. And the name of the enzyme over here is lactate. Lactate dehydrogenase. Lactate dehydrogenase. Lactate dehydrogenase requires FMN. FMN stands for flavin mononucleotide and Zn2 plus zinc as the cofactor. Okay. In this type of fermentation, understand, no CO2 is released. That means CO2 is not released. Pyruvate is getting directly reduced to lactic acid. Now, where does lactic acid fermentation takes place? So, lactic acid fermentation, it occurs in our muscles. As I told you, during exercise, your muscles require more oxygen, but since there is more demand of more oxygen, there is anaerobic breakdown, but you require energy. So there is anaerobic breakdown of the substrate to yield lactic acid. Okay, so it occurs in the muscles. It is taking place also in the microorganisms like lactobacillus. You know that milk gets changed into curd. It is by the lactic acid bacteria, that is lactobacillus, which are going to convert the milk sugar, lactose, into lactic acid. So there the fermentation occurs, right? So with this, we are finished with the two steps of two fermentations, that is ethyl alcohol fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. Now we will discuss the difference between anaerobic respiration and fermentation. I hope this part is clear to all of you. Difference: anaerobic respiration and fermentation. Anaerobic respiration, it is a type of respiration. Fermentation is an enzymatically controlled, incomplete breakdown of the respiratory substrates. Okay. Second difference, anaerobic respiration is only intracellular. इंट्रासेल्युलर म्हणजे सेलच्या आत होणारा. Fermentation is intracellular as well as extracellular. Now why we say fermentation is extracellular? Because fermentation can be carried out only with the help of enzymes. म्हणजे it does not require a living cell. आपल्याला fermentation घडवायला लिव्हिंग सेल पाहिजे असं काही नाही. आपण त्याचे एन्झाइम्स घेऊ शकतो. You can extract the enzymes and you can perform this process of fermentation outside the cell. So it is intra as well as extracellular. Third, anaerobic respiration is not exploited economically. Not exploited economically, whereas fermentation is exploited economically. What is the meaning of economic exploitation? It means, suppose we want to prepare ethyl alcohol on a large scale, or we want to produce some products like vinegar on a large scale. So all these types of fermentation are carried out on a large scale, and they can be used for economic purposes, that they can be used to obtain money. Okay, that is why we say anaerobic respiration is occurring in the cell, but fermentation we can exploit it economically. Now, technically, if you go, the reactions are the same in anaerobic respiration as well as fermentation. These are just a few points of differences between both of them. Okay, and with this, we are finished with two types of respirations. In the next video, we'll see how to demonstrate aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, as well as we'll be seeing the respiratory quotient, and then we can finish the chapter. Thank you.